Now, tonight's performer, I have the privilege of working alongside her as the voice chair for the voice department here. And in addition to conducting numerous ensembles, she also spearheads our musical theater program and our adult choir. Her and her colleagues and special guests will be presenting a veritable cornucopia of selections from musical theater and Broadway, which I know you will enjoy. So thank you for coming again and enjoy the show.
Talk brings my childhood. Father said You belong to a Lonely Hearts Club?
No, I've never done that sort of thing. I mean, I used to read the advertisements.
Who hasn't? Young man wants young woman wants young man.
But I never took them seriously until one day I saw his advertisement. And even then I tried not to answer it, but it just kept calling out to me.
He could be 75.
The advertisement says young man.
You haven't even
first grade classroom to teach music with, just a few skills, not that many yet. And we were supposed to walk into this first grade classroom and sing this hello song to them. So I started and I said, "Hey baby, take a look. There's nothing finer in a picture book," or some really fun hello song. And then Luke got up and I was sitting in the back of the classroom and he picked a really high key and went, "Hey baby, take a look." And by the time he got to singing and introducing himself, he went, "Mr. Rosie Bird, yeah!" And I couldn't stop laughing. I was in the back row and I knew that we'd be friends for a very long time. And this next song is a piece from Daddy Longlegs the Musical, which is a musical that's all in letters. I said I would, but my heart sank because I don't care much for Pendletons. Anyway, turns out he's as sweet as a lamb. He's a real human being, not a Pendleton at all, with a sweet dark face and the funniest underneath smile that never quite comes through, but just wrinkles up the corners of his mouth. He reminds me of you in much younger days. Softly eccentric and set in his ways, my one grandmother through singing and music, but I was able to connect to my other grandmother through stories of her youth and her romance with my grandfather. You see, my grandparents met at the Michigan School for the Deaf, and actually my grandpa was 2 years behind my grandma in school, and he thought she was so beautiful. And so he would actually slip her free candy bars at the store that he worked at, the candy store, and it obviously worked out very well for them. But I just remember visiting them as a child and going through their pictures and their letters and just thinking about this whole life that happened before I ever came along. I went up to my attic to put away your letters in a gray metal box with 2 broken locks next to it. at Disney World when I was maybe 4 or 5, maybe. We were at this big parade, and of course there's hundreds of people, and the princesses are going by, and I yell out, "Snow White!" And apparently she turned, and she gave me a little wave, and I almost fainted full of joy. But when I was in grad school, then somehow I got into playing Snow White for certain events. And I had a friend who was a kindergarten teacher, and her class was learning all about fairy tales, and they were learning all about different fairy tales and things like that. And so she asked if I could come be a special surprise guest. And the students wrote letters to me like, "Dear Snow White, do you like cleaning?" Or, "Dear Snow White, are the dwarves nice?" Just things like that. So I get all dressed up to go, in the middle of the day to my friend's kindergarten class. And I'm driving there and I get a little lost and there's construction, so I end up having to park way far away from the school. And so I'm walking down the street, and the only people to ask for directions are, of course, the construction workers. So I walk by and I say, "Can you point me to the elementary school?" And they were laughing so hard because I had heels and a yellow skirt and all of that. But once I got to the school, apparently I was really early, and my friend saw me, come into the elementary school, and she said, "Quick, hide, they can't see you." So I opened the first door that I could find, and it ended up being the girls' bathroom. So I'm hiding in the girls' bathroom waiting for her to come get me when this little girl comes in to use the bathroom, and I'll never forget her face when she walks into her elementary bathroom and sees Snow White just hanging out. And for some reason I can't seem to shake that whole playing princess thing. Sing, sweet nightingale, sing, sweet nightingale, high above me. Oh, sing, sweet nightingale, sing, sweet nightingale. Oh, sing, sweet nightingale, sing sweet. Oh, sing, sweet nightingale, sing. Sing, sweet nightingale, oh, sing sweet. Oh, sing. When you're driving through the moonlight on the highway, when you're driving through the moonlight to the dance, you are breathless with the wild anticipation of adventure and excitement and romance. Then at last you see the towers of the palace, silhouetted in the sky above the park, and below them is a row of lighted windows, like a lovely diamond necklace in the dark. I suppose when you come into the ballroom, and the room itself is floating in the air, friend of mine, Julie Rosevsky, who from the moment I moved to New York was like a big sister and mentor to me. But sadly, she passed away of cancer in June. And I just know as soon as she passed away, I found myself going through everything that she'd ever written me and just trying to hold on to some piece of advice, some part of her, which of course, she's unforgettable, but, and I found this one letter that she'd written, and it was when I was gone from New York for the summer, and it said, I often wonder about you and think and wonder what you're doing at the very exact moment I'm thinking about you. And I just hope that she knows how much we all think about her. There I was on the highest mountain in all the universe, standing right where an ancient people had disappeared or worse. Around me were the remnants of the lives they'd left behind, and all at once this feeling, no, this knowledge filled my mind. If I myself were to somehow someday up and disappear, what of me would be left behind to show that I've been here? There I was on the highest mountain in all the universe, and the only thing that I'd leave behind would be cluttering my verse. No carvings of creatures on ancient stone. I vanished off of the face of earth, unrecognized, unknown, except for you. You'd remember me, you're my friend, you'd remember me. I never realized what I had to fight for and protect. The only way we live beyond our lives is to connect and call ourselves into the souls of those we love. There I was on the highest mountain, always so prepared. Here I am now in New York City, caught off guard and scared. So I need you. You'll remember me. I know you. You'll remember me. I know you. Remember me. So I have some thank yous for tonight. First of all, my amazing friend Drew, who's one of my first friends that I met at grad school, and I'm so lucky to have him tonight. He's amazing. So. And also, I want to thank my special guests, Brian and Molly and Luke, and also Brandon Tesh, who taught me how to play the flute, which I took about 3 lessons on. So he told me not to thank him, but also Gary, Yvonne, Lohengrin, Valerie, and my family and friends for coming tonight. And I couldn't have a whole recital about letters without sharing probably the most important letter that I've ever received. So my mother, who's here, she wrote me a letter back about 17 years ago, intended for me when I was an adult. And she sent that letter to me when I was in college, when I really needed it. And there's a couple lines that I want to share that I think you'll like, since this was 17 years ago. She said, "Your love of music and your gift of singing have entertained us 1,000 times," which which I'm sure is true. I feel my heart swell with pride when I hear you sing with such obvious enjoyment. Your songs will continue to provide enjoyment for yourself and others. Use your gifts wisely. And I hope that maybe some of my songs brought you some enjoyment tonight. And without further ado,